Hey lovelies, welcome to this video, which is going to be the late catch-up flick through for Wargames Illustrated issue 438. So let's get straight into it, shall we? We have obviously the contents page. Now we've got this picture here, which is from one of I want to say it looks like Osprey Publishing, but there's no mention of it. It just says artwork below by Angel Garcia Pinto and shows British commandos in Normandy, 2 of which are armed with Thompson SMGs. Featured in our weapons theme article, The Annihilator. See page 74. So the theme for this month's magazine, or that month's magazine I should say, is weapons. Let's get into it. Observation post. Now, rule supplements, figures, terrain, hobby gear and more. Obviously I'm catching up, so I'm running late on getting these Wargames Illustrated magazines done for the flick through. So we already know, or most people already know, that Dungeons and Lasers, which is Archon Studios, have produced these pre-painted, essentially, dungeon crawler terrain, and it looks fabulous. I haven't bought any of it myself, mainly because at the end of the day it's a little bit out of my price range for the time being. We then have Osprey Games Stargrave, Dead or Alive, and this is for 28mm sci-fi. It says it's £20 from ospreygames.com, and it's a 96-page full colour softback. These are predominantly for 28mm. The Archon Studio stuff is predominantly for 28mm. Fantasy, although you could probably get away with it in other settings potentially. Now it's saying about £69, which is why it's a little bit out of my price range. Digitally printed hard plastic, and you can find it at archon-studio.com. Footsore miniatures, Gangs of Rome accessory set. So this looks like plastic sprues, material hard plastic miniatures, MDF terrain and base. So scale 28mm, ancient Rome. This is £60. It looks like you get obviously miniatures and a villa. It says the Villa of Galen the Greek, and obviously this looks like you get tokens, dice and other bits and pieces. Wargames Atlantic, the Age of Chivalry Foot Knights. 28mm medieval, £25, material hard plastic. wargamesatlantic.com. Wargames Atlantic British Expeditionary Force, so the BEF as it was known, which was the British Expeditionary Force at the start of World War II, is what went to France to try and stop Germany from expanding on their invasion of Poland, which we all know ended in the evacuation at Dunkirk, saving approximately, I think it was what, 330,000 British and Allied troops from capture. And the miniatures look great. I mean, especially this Bren Gunner down here, prone Bren Gunner, fantastic. One of the things that really I do wish that model companies were perhaps a little bit more varied in some of the poses that they set out for their miniatures. Yes, you have the classic standing, kneeling and lying down poses for firing your weapon, But sometimes we would like to be able to show somebody in the sitting position, which is a firing position which is actually taught. Or I think Tamiya in their 1/35th scale German machine gun set had a pair of figures where one guy was bent over holding the bipod for the machine gun that somebody was firing over his shoulder. And that was fantastic. I loved that. And I'd love to see more variation in poses. Release radar. With Dom Sword taking an extended honeymoon break. So obviously this is quite some time ago. Paul Matthews is back for another tour of Release Radar. Now we have, considering 2024 Salute has recently been and gone, it's no surprise that many companies have released new goodies since the last Release Radar. Mantic Games are no exception with the retail release of their new boxed game, the Dungeon Saga Origins, and its expansion, Glimmer of Greed. I haven't played Mantic's Dungeon Crawler, which is Dungeon Saga. I understand it's actually supposed to be quite good, so at some point I will try and get hold of a base copy for review. We then have Into Japan. Graham Davey, the tabletop gaming grandee and founder of Grey for Now Games, greyfornow.com, continues to expand his catalogue of games and miniatures. Fresh from announcing his new game, Guards of Traitor's Toll, Graham has also revealed 3 new miniatures for his current bestseller, Test of Honour. The trio features a sergeant, a musician and a standard bearer. So that's these miniatures down here. No pricing information with a lot of this. Talking Samurai, Backnil Miniatures, backnilminiatures.blogspot.com have added a set of heads to their Boshin War range. GCTstudios.com are releasing another wave of miniatures to expand Bushido's lore and roster, adding more characters and models to the Silver Moon Trade Syndicate Shadowwind Cult of Ural Elders, which are these guys here. And then Napoleonic Complex Apaches and Roses Resurrected. And this is the littlesoldiercompany.co.uk. These look tiny. It wouldn't surprise me if they are potentially like 15mm or something like that. But there's no size given for these. We have these guys here. Gringo40s.com just launched a fabulous set for 28mm Native American Apaches, which are these guys here. Fans of Nevermind the Billhooks will be thrilled to learn that the good folk at futsalminiatures.co.uk have resurrected Citadel 6's range of Wars of the Roses decals and banners, which is this here. We have Pack Your Bags or Go Commando from Rubicon Models UK. The Ruby gear offers a wide range of accessories and stowage designed to fit onto their 1/56 scale model kits. These neat add-ons have been sculpted to fit contours of Rubicon's vehicles, allowing modelers and gamers to pimp their ride without having to fill any annoying gaps. So we have a stowage kit for a CMP 15 CWT truck and a stowage kit for M4A3 Sherman. New from offensiveminiatures.com, elite range of World War II figures is a set of British Commandos, which are these guys here, and they look really good. As depicted in a lot of plastic media, they are wearing the skull caps, soft hats basically. It's essentially a head over that you that would like go around. It's like a snood sort of thing that would go around your neck. But if you fold it and tuck it in correctly, you can make the traditional looking ridged cap that you often see commandos wearing in things like the Airfix commando set, etc. But the fact of the matter is that they would often go into battle wearing their steel bowler hats, or steel helmets, I should say. So yeah, depicted with obviously the soft caps on, but if they come with if they do come with steel helmets, I would probably put steel helmets on them. Force of Virtue, coming from masterstrokegames.com. Force of Virtue is a skirmish wargame set in Rome during the rise of the bourgeois, designed to be played quickly on a small table with only a handful of models. The intent is that the campaign can be played in its entirety over an afternoon. Okay, there you go. And then we have a fantastical finish, thedrownedearth.com and Olmec Games. A brilliant range of figures, new additions to our 4 resin characters seen below, which are these guys here, and Kiyoshi, the reptilian sniper, which is this guy, and a set of 5 predatory raptors. Right, the light's fading here a lot quicker than I was expecting, so I'm just going to pop the main light on. And then on this page we have forgemasterminiatures.com. Now these guys are shield maidens, which are these, as well as no resisted welcome Medbury miniatures to the 28mm scale, white metal medieval men at arms. My favourite, however, are the ghastly ghouls. Yeah, and then this looks like 8mm sci-fi here, and now for a complete change of scale, founded in 2022 by Richard O'Keefe. ROKminis.com focuses on a small scale miniatures buildings from 6mm to 15mm scale, having sold 10mm fantasy armies since its foundation. ROK has released new 8mm sci-fi range. These epic minis, finely detailed and printed in a tough and flexible resin, are scaled to sit alongside other kits like Epic 40K, which I am led to believe this scale was chosen to match newer ranges such as Legions Imperialis and Mantic's Epic Warpath 2. So there you go. And then finally, infamousjt.com is on the verge of releasing a new and exciting range of dwarves, which are these guys here. It says here, composed of 41 unique models, all of which are absolute belters. So if you want variation in your dwarven army, that may be something to consider. Quick fire letters from readers. Ragged Staff Minis. In the excitement to get a Ruckus signed off and on its way to the printers last month, I had a sudden moment of last minute panic. Is it too late to add another company to the list of those credited? I texted James at the weekend. Alas, it was. Instead, I have the chance to show off Ragged Staff Minis in a quick fire, having somehow managed to miss them from the credits in the freebie Ruckus rules, despite showing them in some of the photos. So these are all miniatures from Ragged Staff Miniatures, which you can find on Etsy. So if you go to etsy.com/shop/Ragged Staff Minis, you'll be able to find these. Moonlight, Daylight, Glowing Crystals. So this looks like a reader who has used some ingenuity to create Moonlight, Daylight and the such, and then created these glowing crystals with what looked like LED tea lights, or no, they're just LED lights that he put into a plastic lid. Cool. Crimean fripperies. What do you do with your odds and ends and spare figures? I wonder, do they disappear into the bits box of doom, perhaps, and never to see the light of day, or are you one of the more organised folks who store and categorise every last piece for future use, knowing just where that bit you might need right now is? So that looks like just a reader's letter about how they deal with their bits. And then samurai on a stick, painting horseback samurai. Weapons and war games. So this is another interview with the Perry boys, the Perry twins. Are they twins or just brothers? And Jervis Johnson. Just basically talking about how they deal with weapons when figure sculpting and game designing. So quite an interesting read, dealing with a lot of the gaming systems that they've been involved in over the years. Scrap Heap Challenge. Now this was cool. This was just showing you various bits and pieces that you can use to facilitate areas that you might have on your gaming board, and then it goes into how they scratch built this. Scratch built converted, because they're using the hull of a small tank here as the basis for this digger, this excavator, but it shows how they scratch built it. Then 2000 years and counting, talking about the pike and related pole arms throughout the years, and the various different things that armies have done throughout the ages. And if you think that these pole arms or pole axes, etc., weren't used, haven't been used in recent conflicts, if you look at World War II, and there are pictures here of Home Guard wielding essentially broom handles with bayonets on the end. But you also need to remember that sometimes the Japanese during World War II would use bamboo spears as well. So talking about that. And then 1944, painting and modelling, hitting the beaches, talking about beach defences that the Allies encountered, some of the beach defences that the Allies encountered during Operation Overlord. And it gives you examples of some stage-by-stages of how to make them. So we've got barbed wire, Czech hedgehogs, which are the tetrahedron sort of like things that were tank traps. And then we have the what they call the dragon's teeth, which is the large concrete blocks, which were too big for tanks to essentially drive over. If they tried to drive over, they were positioned in such a way that you couldn't drive over two of them, right, with your tracks. So if you tried to drive over one, there was a very good chance that you might end up getting grounded with the way that they were spaced, in theory. So talking about how you can do that, the only thing I would probably change about these is these guys have the barbed wire on rectangular bases. I would probably seek to taper the ends slightly, just basically so that it's easier then to create a curve should you wish to do so with the barbed wire, and the same with the dragon's teeth. Smiting, the good smite. So again, another weapons article. And this one is predominantly looking at chariots. Another good article talking about the various different types of chariot that you could encounter on the battlefields in ancient times. Then it's Salute 51 show report. Some great pictures of various boards. I do remember the boards at Beachhead. They were all fantastic. And yeah, just the variety here. So we've got like a river board here with housing on each side. We've got a trench warfare board. We've got a sea battle going on a sea board. Just absolutely phenomenal. Some of the boards that get created. The Mosin Nagant rifle. Interesting article on this particular weapon. And now it says here, Lisa Smedman discusses an iconic rifle which was used by her grandfather in the Finnish Civil War 1918 and still sees service today. Designed in 1891 and manufactured from 1892 to the 1960s. So there you go. We then have, now this is object source lighting painting tutorial, but the subject is interesting because it's Major Dick Winters, or Captain Dick Winters, as he may have been then, I don't know, from the Band of Brothers fame. And it just goes through how the author did the object source lighting for this, but it's very much the pose of him in front of that arched entryway. I don't know if you've seen the photograph of him. The Annihilator, the Thompson SMG or submachine gun. So yeah, one of those ubiquitous weapons that seems to have cult-like status, when in actual fact it wasn't actually that good. As a weapon, it's, you know, firing a 45 ACP round. It definitely had some stopping power, but as a submachine gun, the rounds didn't actually go very far. You know, you wouldn't be able to reach targets out to a few hundred meters with an SMG. They were they're essential for close-in work, not for. I know they were carried during World War II, but I wouldn't necessarily have picked an SMG, a Thompson, over a self-loading rifle if the self-loading rifle was available to me. But yeah, it had its uses. It had its drawbacks, but it had its uses. We've got the drum magazine here on this one and the foregrip. The problem as well was that they were quite expensive to manufacture, which is why Britain started the war with Thompson's and went over to the Sten, because the Sten was just stamped out of sheet metal and produced in hundreds of thousands during the war. But there you go. Campaigning in Ruckus. So this is a follow-up to the last issue where they had Never Mind the Ruckus, and they're just basically giving you some campaign information within the magazine. Scenario, Back from the Dead. Scenario, The Rescue. And then on to this diorama, which was called Shield Maidens, which was really good. Just basically the author talking through how he did his building and painting process for his Salute 2024 painting competition winning unit. There's a colour guide here as well. So greens, blues, browns, yellows, reds, purples, flesh and others. Really nice vignette as well, to be quite honest. Diorama. And then last couple of pages of adverts and the magazine end. So hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Alright, take care. Bye bye.